Recording. Welcome everybody, Warwick Merry CSP here, a past National President and currently a random member of PSA. And I'm your host for the Getting Professional Member series and have been for the last 12 months or so. And we've only got 6 months to go and then zoop, that's it, no more. So this evening is all about what do you need? We've got 6 months to go, 7 months to the very end of the year, but what do you need? What do you need to get you to professional member? Now, for a lot of people, their big stumbling block is the 50 grand. Got to get 50 grand worth of business in speaking. So great, if that's a stumbling block for you. You should have had a look at all the different recordings and learn how do I do my one pager, how do I do my intro, what are some of the marketing things. You know, Winno's given us some great stuff on different places. You can get some smaller fee speaking ideas. But it really is, what do we need to do to get you to professional member, which may well be the 50 grand or whatever it is. So this is where I hand over to you because I can talk all night. I'm a professional speaker. It's what we do. But what I really want to know is what do you need? What do you need to get to the next level? So, and I'm not going to go around the room and ask people to tell me each thing because let's be honest, some people don't want to say anything and other people want to say a lot. So, I'm happy to start with whatever. What do you need? And by the way, welcome to everyone who's joined us, David and Trish and Angela and Russell and everyone else is here. Thank you for joining us and appreciate that. But I want to know what do you need to get to professional member? I'm assuming that you've looked at the requirements. If you haven't, go to the website now as we're talking and you can download the forms. Essentially, there's 2 or 3 bits of paper. One is to agree to our code of conduct, which basically says you'll be honest and an upright citizen and stand for the principles of PSA. It's not a huge ask, but if you're dodgy, we don't want you. And then it's just a matter of going, okay, do you have the professional standards and the professional revenues to be a professional member? So I will open the call to whomever wants to say, oh no, we've got to start off. What doors should I knock on? What's the essence of what I should say? So, Paul, you're talking about how do I get business? Is that the question? I'm going to take that as a yes. Hang on, you're slightly muted. I've unmuted you. Paul, you're basically saying, how do I get business, yeah?
Yep, that's it.
Excellent. All right. Paul, just to refresh me, what's your topic? What's your expertise? Where you at?
Okay, it's around the future.
Yep.
So we're talking about... let me see. A title of a recent workshop has been "Discover Your Future," and that has been aimed at adult educators.
Yeah.
What are the changes in your industry?
Yeah.
How do you prepare yourself for it? How do you change the units around for that? How do you bring a guidance to your? So in essence, it's getting people to lift up their eyes. What's over the horizon?
Okay, cool. Just out of interest, there's a growing stream of people who are becoming futurists. People who used to speak on average everyday topic like leadership and networking and whatever are now going, oh, I'm a futurist around leadership and I'm a futurist around this and I'm a futurist. So you know how there's some terms that just wear you out and after a time you're like, oh man, if I hear disruption again, I'm going to punch you in the face. Yes. I reckon futurist is going to be the next one that's going to annoy us. But it's what people are on. It's all about how do I get to that sort of that leading edge, but not bleeding edge, if you know what I mean.
Well, however, probably what sets me apart, I've got a Masters of Strategic Foresight. I'm currently doing a PhD on the industries of the future.
Oh God,
I'm actually lecturing in leadership, all that sort of stuff. So it's not just I'm a futurist. I'm actually, got the model.
I'm feeling highly underqualified as we speak. But now for you, what that means is that's your leverage. That's your point of difference. It's like, I'm not just putting my finger in the air. It's that's like, right. I've studied this.
That's
so
right.
It becomes that, I've got a Master's of the future and I'm a PhD of the future. And so, right. Dr. Future. And so it becomes looking at, okay, well, who wants this? My thing's always about, who wants it, who's prepared to pay for it, and who puts a value on it.
Yep.
So you're looking at, okay, well, who are the organisations or businesses that are in pain? Yes. So retail is a huge one. So if you can talk to retailers or retail networks about the future of retail or the future of shopping, and then what I love, Michael McQueen's just put a good book out which talks about, the future, but then it says, so what steps do I got to do today to get there? And that's the piece that many of the futurists are missing. So, if you had a piece that was called the top 5 tips to help you build the future of your dreams, or how to something along that. So it really is, how do I find who wants that? That's right. And look, this is just my opinion. I'm sure everyone else has a lot of other opinions. And if you've got some thoughts on who's going to want that businesses of the future kind of stuff, please put a comment in the chat box for Paul.
Yep.
But you're looking at banks are going to need something, because they're going to be in a little bit of trouble at the moment. And it's just like, how do we not offend our customers? Non-banks, how do we compete with banks? Insurance companies, that kind of stuff. Yeah, insurance companies are hitting TV ads hard. Like, again, I am sick of seeing ads going, there's one thing you can do right now, and that's create a life insurance policy. So it's like, how do we look at who wants that?
That's right. Yeah. So it's as simple as, but it is hard as, exactly like Louise Marr was talking about, just knocking on doors, on the phone, the LinkedIn connections.
So here's the magic secret of speaking success. There is no magic to speaking success. It takes hard work, and it's basically...
It's almost like Fight Club. The first rule of Fight Club is there are no rules.
It is basically knocking on doors and just looking who's got the money, who's prepared to pay, who sees the value, and then how can I position it? And I love the concept of find their pain, squeeze it, and then present the solution.
Yes.
And part of it now is, as well as doing that, you've got to become the celebrity of it. So as part of your being a Masters of the Future, you need to be putting articles out on LinkedIn, maybe not Facebook. I'd stick to LinkedIn. Facebook's weird at the moment. And then looking in industry mags and submitting that and that kind of stuff.
That's what I've been doing. There's heaps of stuff on LinkedIn. I've got a Twitter feed. I've got a YouTube channel with some videos on.
And then start writing, targeting. One of the things Gihan Pereira does is he will write, if he's like, okay, I want to go after a certain industry, I will write articles specifically for that industry, specifically for that conference almost, and then submitting them to industry mags. So that's one thing that you might want to consider.
Okay. Excellent.
Cool. All right, I'm going to keep going. There's another question who's come up from here saying, what is counted as public speaking in terms of generating income? Do workshops within companies count? My wordy, yes, they do. It's basically if you earn money for speaking. So if you're training, that's good enough. If you're getting paid to do a webinar, fantastic. I think there's a minimum number of 3 people. The definitions will have it all. I think there's a minimum number of 3 people in your audience. And it can't be coaching. It does actually have to be running a workshop. It can't be facilitation. You can't just be standing there, what do you think? And what do you think? You've actually got to provide content. So it has to be a workshop or a keynote or training or something along those lines. So not just facilitating but not providing any content. So hopefully that one. So Donna has said, where are the definitions? On the application form on the website, it should have some definitions there. So go to the website and it'll have complete these forms to be there, and anything needs a definition. And if there's no definition for it, or you want to shoot me an email or shoot an email to the office and we'll get that to you. Just walking back a bit, Elizabeth has said that the focus is conflict skills as a way to explore creative thinking. Current keynote is dealing with difficult and demanding people. Legal firms are interested and like to think about how to grow profile market reach. So basically, you've got to become the celebrity. And so you've got to look at, if you want to be known in that professional field, such as accountants, lawyers, that kind of stuff. So go deep, go into a relationship with a law firm or the Law Institute, speak at the Law Institute stuff. So if you'd almost be prepared to speak for a very low fee at the Law Institute because you're getting exposure to all the other lawyers and use that as a leg up. I like the idea of, I've hosted the Professional Conference Organisers Association conference for the last 3 or 4 years. And I had no fee for that, but I did it strategically because I'm standing in front of a whole lot of professional conference organisers, and I can tell them how good I am till I'm blue in the face. But once they see me, they're like, oh, this dude's good. This dude can do this, and he can do that, and he can do that. Same for you, Elizabeth. It's like if you're in front of a group of lawyers at the monthly meeting of the legal bigwigs, and you can talk about it, and I always like to refer to my clients. Oh, when I help my client do this, and this was a problem they had, and this is the solution, and the what, not the how, so that they can't take it away without doing it, without employing you. But they're like, oh, well, that's the kind of thing that she could do for us. So essentially what you're doing in giving your examples is giving a sales pitch. Like, here is the kind of things I could do for you. It's like, this is what I did for that client, and what they found was da-da-da-da-da-da. So I hope that that helps. Paul has put the link to the membership levels in the chat box. So click on that if you need to, and it'll have all the forms and stuff there. So knock yourself out with that one. What other questions, comments, thoughts? Oh, here we go. Is there a way to get a list of associations? Yeah. No, there's not. I'd love to say, oh, yes, you just quickly do this. But there is one that you can pay for. But as you say, I believe it gets out of date pretty quick. And then what it gives you is a list of all associations. So you can have the association of people who cut their lunch with the left hand, and, all that kind of stuff. So basically what I would encourage you to do is look at who is it that you really want to speak at, and look at, well, who's going to have an association around that target market? Because the nicher you can get it, the better. And then get on the phone. Too many people are just flicking emails out and they don't work. Not this day and age. You've got to get on the phone, and it can't just be ring up and go and just go, hi, buy my stuff. You've got to be able to provide them with some kind of value. Now, in the vault, we had the we talked about telephone sales. There's a whole process there, and there's a whole way of putting some different scripts and stuff together to try and get that traction to do that. So one-on-one coaching after a webinar will only count if you sold it on the webinar, Angela. It's part of one of the things that will count is product sales. And if you hold an event where you might speak for free, but you're selling your services, products or services, and you sell it and get paid for within 7 days, that can count. So see how you go with that one. Yeah. What else? All right, no other questions coming on at this stage. So anyone else got any questions? I do like Julian's beard. That is sensational. What happens if you don't make member? Oh my God, if you don't make member, it's a tragedy. Oh, it's just you become a guest. So there will always be a place for you. So you may not make member by the end of this calendar year, but you might make it in, let's say, March next year. Right. So what it means is you get to turn up as a guest and you pay the guest prices. That's it. You can still, you won't have access to the vault and stuff. You won't have any of the privileges that come with membership. The affiliates end at the end of December 31st. It's sort of Happy New Year, Happy New Position. So on a day-to-day basis, not being a member, I don't think it's going to be a huge thing, but I would strongly encourage you to keep working towards professional member, and to get there. You'll find it's a lot more. You'll have access to the website. You'll get the benefits associated with being a member if you go to any of the international events and stuff. We've got a few people who go to Singapore or New Zealand, that kind of stuff. And Shutterstock, Joe, you won't get access to Shutterstock anymore. And any of the other benefits, so the discounts on insurances, that kind of stuff. So, Paul, I don't understand your question. What marketing resources are available? What do you mean? Oh, he's typing like a demon. Here he goes. Meanwhile, Trish has asked the group, does anyone have a pattern to their weekly or daily activity? Do you have I make phone calls from here and I do LinkedIn from there and I do da-da-da-da. Any responses to what you do and how successful it is? Let them know. People say, when my clients and stuff say to me, are you busy? I always say, I'm either busy doing the work or trying to get the work. There's always something to do. So if anyone has any routines. For me, I'm part of a new LinkedIn thing happening at the moment. So I spend the first hour or so of each day on LinkedIn doing a few different things. I'm getting a whole lot more traction, which is great. It hasn't turned into money yet, but getting there. Some people are still a bit ad hoc. Marketing research, images, best forms and words, best channels to promote, blah, 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 blah. Oh, man, Paul, it's so variable, because for some people, LinkedIn's good. But for a different topic, Facebook's good. For some people, it's like Paul McCarthy, because he's doing almost B2B, B to small business. So he gets with a lot of associations and travel around rural Victoria and stuff. So in terms of images, Shutterstock, so if while you're still a member, I would take advantage of Shutterstock and plan in advance on any images that you may need and take advantage of that to the full amount. I think I'm within all the legal bits in saying that, but, do that. There are, seriously, the best resources are head over to the vault and go through and take notes on some of the different, there's quite a few things on marketing there. But look, the reality is get on the phone. Like if you get on the phone every day and talk to 5 people, Keith Abraham said to me, he contacts 7 people a day. And these are people that he knows or people on his database. And sometimes the contact is like, hey, Janelle, I was just thinking of you. How's things going? And some of his clients are now his friends. So how are the kids? What's going on? So it's just a very simple contact, but it helps you stay top of mind. If you got those images during your membership, you can still use the images for Shutterstock. That's because you've got them, so it's too hard to take it off. What else? So what I'm doing on LinkedIn is I don't use Pulse anymore. Pulse doesn't get me the traction that I used to. It's a pain in the ass. So I'll use Pulse. I used to do something weekly on Pulse. Now I'll do something monthly on Pulse to put a longer form article. I'm doing a lot more video. So I'm probably doing 1 or 2 videos a week. And I'm hunting down the category of people I want to connect with. And I'm making sure that I provide value to their stuff. So I put, Chris, you'll love this. I put a video out because if you don't know already, June is Bowel Cancer Awareness Month, and I'm making the personal commitment that I'm encouraging people to put your poo in the post. And Chris gets quite upset about that, but that's okay. So I put a video on LinkedIn about putting your poo in the post, and I've had 3,000 people look at that video in the last 24 hours. So it's getting some good traction. But as I said, it's not turning into business yet. So I'm still trying to work that out. So there's a few little things that we're doing. So. And I can't go into the detail on that because the people that I'm doing it with, it's their intellectual property. So, and I'm paying for it. So it's just what happens. No, there's no detail of the poo, Joe. None whatsoever. So, so it's a shitty thing, but someone has to do it. And I don't take crap for anyone, but the government does when you put it into post. All right. What else? So. Yeah, video is the thing. I've been doing a lot of and videos with subtitles now. And I've put a video together. If you go to warwickmerry.tv, you'll see all my videos. And one of them that's pretty recent is how to add subtitles to your video. And my LinkedIn videos, Angela, they're in 2 or 3 minutes. Because no one's going to keep watching after that. I know for me, my podcasts are 20 minutes, but anything beyond that, no one watches. But yeah, so I had to put subtitles in. I use Rev. And so what I'll do is, because the thing I used to do is I used to use Hootsuite and Buffer and Meet Edgar, and I'm getting rid of all of that and just going native because the social media accounts want you native and you get far better traction. And if you have a YouTube video and you put a link to it, LinkedIn will punish you. So you got to put it natively. And so what I do is I burn the subtitles in, as well as on YouTube. I'll have the subtitles there because that becomes searchable under Google. So if you have keywords in what you're talking about. So Rev is $1 a minute for your subtitles. You can then download them. You put subtitles on Facebook all over the place, blah, 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 blah. So Clip Apps is another one, but I've never used it, but some people have found that Clip Apps crashes quite a lot. So it can be worthwhile, but for me, I do it differently. So anyway, so you go to warwickmerry.tv, and it's about the second or third video. I might be able to drag it up as I'm talking to everybody. So that's what I've been doing on LinkedIn. What else? So yeah, and part of that video is it's not about you. I think that's really important. And this is true for all your marketing. It's not about you. It's got to be about the value for your customers. Because if you start doing a flog fest of your own stuff, and I see a lot of speakers doing this, basically going, how good am I? Look at the stuff that I've done. Aren't I amazing? And all I do is think, you are a wanker. And so I would encourage you to not do that. What I would encourage you to do is to look at what is the value that you're operating. Yeah, look, Trish, I don't think I'd put a testimonial video on LinkedIn because no one cares, because you look at it and go, oh, yeah, you're marketing. Have a testimonial video on your website. So if people want to see it, it's there. But I would think it'd be just keep it, as it said, keep it nice and simple, but they need to see what you're doing and what you do. So give them your best stuff. It's that freemium economy. If you give them some of your best stuff and your best knowledge, what's his name? Harren. There's a guy out of Singapore, a Swedish guy, I think he is. He did a video and did a keynote, and the organisation videoed it, put the whole thing on YouTube, and he was thinking, oh my God, it's all on YouTube, and it got so many hits. It got an enormous number of hits. And later on, his biggest, and it ultimately got him a lot of business because people would watch his whole keynote, and he was thinking, "Oh my God, they're going to steal it!" But they saw it and loved it. And then his biggest regret was that he didn't do it in English, because he would have got him so much more exposure in America. So don't be scared to give your stuff away, because people will see it and go, "Great, this is exactly what I want for the rest of my team." All right, hang on, I'm still trying to bring up this video. How many people can count as a group? That count for the group? 3 people. Your presentation, I think, is going to be a minimum of 3 people. So keep that in mind. But the definitions should be there. Yeah. That's the other thing. I used to have on the video, I used to have a little introduction going, "Hey, I'm Warwick Merry," and da 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 da. And now I'm just bang straight into it. I don't even say who I am until I'm about 30 seconds into the actual video. So I'll start with hey, have you ever wondered why? Or, hey, don't forget, put your poo in the post or something, just to get people into it, because you want to get them engaged and happening. So get straight into it. And then Joe has said, use your media in summary for video to marketing to a show reel testimonial. So there you go. Hey, so here is that link to the how do I burn subtitles in. And there's a free program called Handbrake, which is brilliant for compressing. If you don't know about it, you've got to use Handbrake, because when you record videos, they're huge. And Handbrake will crunch them right down in size, and it's free. And I think you go to handbrake.fr or something to get that one. All right. The first few seconds called a tease. One of the things I'm doing with my podcast is I'm recording some of my podcasts in audio and video, but I only publish the audio. But I'm grabbing a nice juicy bit of the podcast, about 2 minutes. And for those in Victoria, Jonathan Holloway, who is speaking this month, is a legend. Funny as. Great guy. So I'm very lucky to have him on my podcast. And so I've got a little 2 minutes where he talks about his giant stuff in Perth and how it was a success and what defined it as a success. So I'll be releasing that shortly. And again, at the very end of it, it'll say, it'll have on the video as a subtitle, here's the link to the podcast. It won't have a link to it in the body, because if you have a link, LinkedIn doesn't like that. It doesn't want you taking them away from LinkedIn. And so that's what my plan is, to do that. So that's the kind of stuff that you're doing. What else? Finding my LinkedIn video links. Just if you go to my LinkedIn profile and then just look at my activity, and under activity, look at my posts, and there'll be videos there. Cool. What else about getting to member? We got 6 months to get you to member. What else do you need? Surely there's something you need. You have questions, we have answers. Making calls, what do you say or ask? Very good question. First thing you do, Joe, is you go back to the telephone sales recording we did for getting to professional member earlier this year. That's in the vault. You have a listen to that. And there's a whole lot of stuff there. But I go natural. I don't do the whole, hey, it's Warwick Merry. I'm a great MC. I'm funny as heck. I can do this, that, the other. It's like they are so used to. And one of my contacts out of the States, she believes telemarketing's dead, because now that they have caller ID, if they don't know who it is, they might go, oh, I'm not taking this call. So what I'll do is I'll ring up and say, look, I'm just doing a bit of research at the moment, and I might ask the person at the front desk and say, hey, do you do conferences or events? If so, who's the person that organises them? When do they organise them? Because if they've just had one and they don't start to organise them, so find out, do that research first, and you might say, great, I'll call back in the 2 months or whenever it is and speak to that person. And then you might call them up and then say hello and basically just say, hey, do you use professional MCs or do you use speakers? You do, fantastic. I wanted to make myself known to you because I'd like to be considered for it. Like be upfront. They know it's a sales call. You know it's a sales call. Tell them, and I mean, Russell might have better experience at this than me, and maybe someone else on the call has a better experience, but it's like, I don't have time to stuff around. I don't want to be doing subtle stuff. And so you can say, look, I've got some valuable resources I'd like to send you that'll give you a bit more information. It'll be this, the other. And you can send them some stuff. And again, email's too easy. Email's a double-edged sword. You can easily delete it, but it's also easy to forward around if it's good. So anything you send, make sure it's good. You might send some hard copy stuff. I've been sending my hard copy one-pager with the tea bag that I've told everyone about in the one-pager. If you don't know about that, go to the one-pager video in the vault and have a look at that. And it'll be, how do you create one? What do you do with it? And so I send a tea bag with that. And that stands out a little bit because someone's sending them a tea bag. I love that question. The best way to get follow-up work from a gig. I've struggled with that. So many speakers go, every time I do a gig, I get 2 other ones. And I've never got that. What I've found, some of the people that I've spoken to suggest the best thing to do is listen, not talk. So if people are saying good stuff about you, is just listen to what they're saying and find out what their pain points are and say, look, is that something that we should have a conversation with? Do you want to take it any further? That kind of stuff. Russell, you showed your face there for a sec. Did you want to say anything, to add anything to what I've been saying? You can do it just voice only. Don't have to show us your fan and that sexy T-shirt. No, he's run away. That's okay. Hey, there he is.
I'm in the broom closet.
Fantastic. It's the best audio recording area.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Indeed. Very well.
No. You can. All right, fantastic. One of the things that we do for the cold calling work is along the lines of what Warwick's talking about. The only issue is that you're talking 6 months, 8 months, even 12 months out, where you do that research first. You find out exactly when the conferences are going to be organised, who are the people, who are the new people that are coming in, and actually making a note of when they're going to take submissions for the next gig for the following year. Now, one way you can identify where those gigs are is to look at people who are in a similar space to you. So, Paul, for instance, looking at who are the other PhDs who are speaking on futures, and basically going, all right, what have they spoken at this year? They may be looking for a different version of a similar thing next year. So you can create your list that way, and then contact them to find out when they'll be making their selection for the following year. So it does take some time to set that up, but if done right, you've got 12 months to position yourselves to be able to be chosen for the speaking event.
Cool.
Any questions around that one?
And the other thing that I would do as well, Paul, is start a strategic relationship with someone else who's similar. And this is for everyone. Have a strategic relationship for someone who's similar to you. And because, and this has happened multiple times, people will do a great presentation and afterwards the organizer will say, that was amazing, that was fantastic. And you can say, well, there's a couple of things I know. One of them is you're going to have another event next year. Oh, yeah. Another one is you're going to be looking for a speaker. Oh, yeah. And the third thing is it's not going to be me. Yeah, that's correct. Great. Well, I got two people who are just as good as me, but a little bit different, who I'd highly recommend. And then if you've got three people in your group, there's a guy in the States I was talking to who does this. There's three of them. And every time they speak they will refer these other two people. So every event they're selling these other two. So you can almost, because people will love you and they'll say, you're amazing, you're fantastic, you're the best we've ever had, but we can't have you again next year because we've had you this year. And so you've got to look at how can I get referrals. I had half the reason that I love PSA is that I can track over 100 grand worth of sales based on referrals from other PSA members. There's one guy in particular who he would speak and then refer me in for the following year. So, you know, it's a great setup to have. And like all things, you get better at playing tennis if you play with a tennis player who's a little bit better than you. So find a speaker who's in your industry or who's your style, who you think's a little bit better than you, and get to know them and see if you can't do some strategic alliance. You know, and don't get a commission on any sales. Just go, look, I'll refer you. And if you get the gig, good luck to you. Joe's question, how do you gauge which events are paying speakers? Ask them. Because there's some I've spoken at for free, and then one of my colleagues has spoken at next year and found out that they got paid money because they asked for the money and I didn't because I was a bunny. And so it's just like, and nowadays people are always like, oh, we're not for profit, and it's like, well, that's nice, but I am, and so it's like. In terms of researching where other speakers are speaking, Google the name. You know, Google the name, conference, and the person that you're after. So if you've got Joe, if you've got a LinkedIn person who you're like, oh yeah, I'm very similar to Isabel Whoosy-What's-It, Google Isabel Whoosy-What's-It conference, and up they'll come, and you can have a look, or go to their website and they'll say, I've spoken to these people at these conferences, like, you know.
I think one of the other points that Joe was asking about was specifically, how do you know whether a place is going to be paying for the event before you go through that process? And I think one of the ways that you can judge that is get to know the speakers that are in those similar sort of categories to you. And everybody says that they're earning more than they are, but that tends to be the golden rule. But you'll know which ones are serious and which ones are in demand and which ones are getting paid. Have a look at where they're speaking, and obviously those are going to be paying events. Mind you, it's along the lines of what Warwick said. You need to ask, because I've been talking to a couple of speakers recently who looked at an opportunity and thought that's actually not bad because of the target market that they're speaking to, and didn't even ask for the fee. They just went in thinking there's a great opportunity, and then found out afterwards that the other speakers on that same platform were being paid $3,000 a piece. So, the event organizer, if they can get away with it, isn't going to be paying anybody anything. So make sure you ask.
Yeah. Good point. What other questions have people got? The question on fees, Paul. We did have I think we had a conversation, and there was there's a white paper that someone amazing wrote. Oh, that's right, me. So basically, in this country, and we don't usually talk about fees because we don't want to be seen to be anti-competitive and say, right, everybody set your fees at this. So I'm not doing that. What I'm doing now is I'm going to talk about fees from a general point of view in terms of the Australian speaking market. So if you're getting paid more than $15,000 to speak at an event, then you are some kind of celebrity. You're either a business celebrity that's well known in the business market, or you're well known in a household name. So that's above 15 grand. There's not a great deal of people who would earn that, and they're most likely going to be from overseas. To earn that 10 to 15 grand, you've got to be pretty up there in the Australian market. You've got to be pretty up there. You've got to have got good runs on the board, you've got a really strong brand. You might not be a household name, but in business, you're very well known, and you would have a couple of books and this, that, and the other, and people know who you are. Probably the median price, the most common price, is somewhere between that $3,000 to $7,000 is a solid keynote fee for, and by keynote I mean anywhere up to 90 minutes. At the high end of that, 3 to 7. So the 7 mark, you're getting some of the well-known people who are on the circuit a lot, and at the lower end, you've got people sort of coming into it. Anything under 3, and you're sort of a beginner in the market. Anything under 2 or 1.5, and people are going to go, yeah, you're a beginner. So I always found that it's easier to drop your price than increase it. So I would encourage you to take that into account when setting your price. Hypothetically, if someone had a master's in a subject and was doing a PhD in a subject and was quite experienced and very published, you would expect them to be charging a minimum of somewhere between $3,000 to $4,000, I would think. But again, it depends on the market. In speaking to academia, they don't like to pay at all. But speaking to other markets, that they do. And yeah, so how long should we expect to speak? 20 minutes? Look, basically it's going to be somewhere from 20 to 90. Some people like the TED Talk format, and they're going for a lot more of these shorter talks. A TED Talk is completely different to a keynote, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. They're a very different beast, and the majority of people who speak at TED events are not speakers. And they are, a lot of speakers want to speak at a TEDx event because they think it's really going to launch their career and stuff. But there's not many who it has. The majority of TED and TEDx speakers, are not. There's a lot of people making money from speaking who have never spoken at TED or TEDx. So the majority of presentations are typically 45 to 60 minutes, sometimes 90, but usually it's 45 to 60. Yeah, and look, Jo said that she charges less for an in-house than you do for a conference. Great, I don't. My value doesn't change regardless of whether it's in-house or not. But sometimes I'm a big believer in a value exchange. So sometimes it's not necessarily money that I'm getting in value. There's other things of value that are value to me or to my business. So, Angela, I haven't looked at your video, so I'll have a look at that and email you back. What else? Is it necessary to go with a paid subscription on e-speakers? I don't. Some people like it because it's got a really good back end for managing your speaking business. I manage my speaking business elseways. E-speakers are not strong in Australia, and there's a lot of speakers who have the paid and who haven't got the return on their investment. That doesn't mean it's not good. That just means that they haven't found the return on investment. There's other ways to focus your energy at this stage, I would think. Yes, of course, Russell, I agree with that comment wholeheartedly. Besides finding and phoning companies, what are the essentials that must be done as opposed to the bright and shiny strategies we hear about? So, Trish, it really is about getting your brand or your value out there. So it becomes being known, doing the videos. Look, I'm sure I've said this before, and I'll happily say it again. I'm lazy. And so I like to do things once and use it many different ways. So if you can shoot a 3 to 5 minute video, get Rev to transcribe it, and then you can download in multiple formats, including text. So you can then flick it to a VA or yourself, turn that text into an article of some description, bang a few headings and key points in it. You could strip the audio off, and there's an element for a podcast. So this one video has just become 3 different products that you can fling around the place. And don't just focus on social media. See if you can find an outlet that is where your target market is or where they hang out and get known in that space. So if your target market is you want to be professionals, so for example, Joe, I know you're a LinkedIn guru. So if you want to do LinkedIn for professionals and LinkedIn for lawyers, then it's just like for the Australian Law Society, see if you can't get a monthly column on, the latest techniques in LinkedIn, or, loving your LinkedIn for lawyers, and just have an article each month so that they see you all the time. So when they're ready, sometimes it's a really long lead time. I mean, I've had clients on my newsletter who, after 4 years of like, righto, I'm ready. And it's taken 4 years of weekly newsletters for them to finally get there. And that's okay. And that's why I have it. That's the strategy for it. So it's about having multiple formats. So having a regular database connection, whether it's providing an observation. Mine's just a quirky little thing that comes out weekly, and I use it purely to stay in touch. And I hardly ever flog anything in it. I hardly ever scream by my stuff, because it's all about staying top of mind. And I have a lot of people saying, I've deleted all my newsletters, but I love yours because it talks about, putting your poo in the post. Can
I quickly talk to Trish's point?
Yeah, do it.
Yeah, the thing that I've found, whether it be in the speaking business or any other business, is time and consistency. So as far as the bright and shiny, I would suggest the topical and the social in that space. And this is just a thing you could take on or not. This is just as an idea for you and potentially for others. So it's defining where you want to be in 8 months' time and saying, I want to be the well-known expert for that thing. And then it's about either writing the book for that thing right now so that you can actually launch it out there and talk about it in 6 months' time. It's having a tool like Handle Your Own PR, which is something I've used a fair bit myself, where you can write an article, obviously make sure it's a good article, but then you can actually spit it out within the system to all the journalists in all sorts of different spaces. It literally goes to their inbox, and as long as you market it correctly, in other words, give it the right title, the right image, making it easy for them to publish, they will publish it. And I've had multiple articles published in places I didn't even know they were going to be published off the back of that. There's a thing that I did 15 years ago, which was to start my own blog. And what I went to was what is topical and not is necessarily something that I wanted to be branded for. It's a very, very, very quick story here. So I had images that I would show around things that were design-based. And one of those images I put up was of a house in China that had been designed to look like a toilet. It was the shit house. And this thing got so much traction across the internet, and I got so many views to the website that were completely useless because it was not on topic. So the point is that no matter what you're doing as far as developing this content, don't just go for the creative and quirky. Make sure it's on point as far as where you want to be branded for the next 8 to 12 months. Then start creating it. It's not about just content creation. It's about getting it in the hands of the people who are then going to distribute it. So it's getting it to journalists. It's getting it to articles into the right industry publications. They will take all sorts of articles. If you contact the publication itself and say, I'm an expert in this area, what would you like an article in? They'll publish three a year at least. Then you've got your list. You literally make a list of 1,000 people, the yes people in the industry that can say yes to the brand speaking opportunity that you present. You make friends with them. You call them up. You speak to them on a regular basis. You make sure that they're on either a newsletter, they're subscribed to some form of messaging that you've got on a regular basis, and you do it every single week. It's pretty simple. Consistency whether it's 7 calls a day, whether it's 10 calls a day. Louise Marler was talking about 50 LinkedIn connections a day, and I believe it because of the work she's actually doing. And she'll say yes to anyone at this point. But she is the topic speaker, so she's moved from expert speaker to celebrity. She's made that leap in the last 3 months. So if you're trying to be a topical speaker, you need to be looking out to the future and then doing the hard work now.
Russell, Angela's asked, how do you get access to the right journalists in Australia? Would you just use that to handle your own PR?
Yeah, so the cool thing about that is it is a subscription to get into it, but you can create specific lists that are, okay, I'm looking for business interested media within radio, and then it will give you the 50 to 70 people that you need to send it specifically to. You can then automatically send it out to them all in one hit. It's pretty magic stuff, but like any sort of email campaigns, you can only expect to get maybe 20 to 30% of those people opening it, and then they have to decide to actually publish it. So again, publishing on a regular basis, whether that's each week or every fortnight.
Cool. Angela, I put that link earlier in the chat, handleyourownpr.com.au, and it tells all about that. And it's $400 plus GST a year, so $440 a year. There's one of our sponsors at the convention was Media Stable. I believe they're about $4,000 a year, but they're a lot more proactive in massaging your message and helping you get it out there. So if you need someone else to help you with it, fantastic. We did have one of the earlier getting to professional member sessions was on PR with some indications on some of the different writing and stuff that you needed to do. So go back and check that one out too. That's in the vault. Yeah, Source Bottle can be good, Trish. There's Source Bottle's a subscription model. It's free, but they send out a regular newsletter saying, oh, someone's looking for this and someone's looking for that. And I got off that because it was driving me nuts. Yeah. So, all right, cool. Any other questions? What's it going to take? That is the question that I have for you. What will it take for you to get to professional member? Now, a lot of you are thinking, oh, I really want to be professional member and I've been here for a while. So what's it going to take? It's what accountability you need to have. Do you need to pick someone else on this call who you know or another speaking friend and just say, all right, let's every Monday mornings have a 10-minute phone call and say, what are you going to do this week? How did you go last week? Just have that accountability buddy to sort of keep you doing stuff. I don't want to be having the same conversation with you in 6 months' time when it's like, oh, I'm almost there. Like, it's because I think with some of you, we've been almost there for some time. So it's like, what's it going to take? How? And again, if you know you need some help in some particular area, great. Get the relevant person's help. If I can help you at all, let me know. If there's someone else in PSA who you know I need to get, ask. I've got to tell you, PSA the individual members are more than happy to give you some time and some resources. So if you know you need something, ask for it. So yeah, if I can, give you that gentle, fluffy slipper up the bot to say, do it. It takes action. That's all it takes. It just takes action. So if every day you can make that 5 new connections on LinkedIn, write an article once a week and start getting it out to different places, shoot a video once a week and get it out there a bit. It is nowadays it's more about showing how much of an expert you are and backing that up with some phone caller. So, get the 1 pages done. Having the 1 page is awesome because when you make a phone call to someone, they go, oh, great, can you send me something? You go, yep, I've got this. Let's go. And do you want a hard copy or do you want a soft copy? I mean, I got mine printed on Vistaprint. I think I got 50 copies for $20 or something. And it's really good because it's, it's all good. Yes, Russell.
Just a quick one on the 1-pager. Create it in a way that you can personalize it for the industry you're about to go after. So let's say if it was a competitive business strategy, let's say, for instance, competitive business strategy for retailers, competitive business strategy for cardiologists.
Yeah.
Whatever it might be, make it specific and make that title something they can say yes to.
Yeah, because they want to look at it and see themselves. All of your marketing stuff is not about you. It is all about your target market. They want to be able to look at it and go, oh, that's me. Oh, I need that. So, being able to tweak that is an important thing. Who's the right person to call? Should you call the decision maker? You should, but you've got to find out who that is. So the best person to call, I find, is the person on the front desk, because they're used to helping everyone. And you call them up and say, look, I just need a little bit of information at first. Who organises your events? When do they organise it? That kind of stuff. And sometimes it's HR, sometimes it's marketing, sometimes it's sales, sometimes it's the CEO. It depends. Sometimes it's the association president. It depends on the event and the business. How important is a show reel? Super important, because the first thing they're going to want to do is go, well, how do I know if you're good? I want to see it. I want to see, and nowadays with video, it's really easy to see. So it's like, I need to see you doing your thing. And what's not going to cut it is you just having a simple little video that you've shot on your phone, speaking to 10 of your mates in a small room. You really do need to have a decent show reel. Having said that, if you have nothing else, having a phone, something shot on your phone is good enough to start with. But from every event that you do from now on, if you can get a video on a tripod two in a different room, so you can do a 2-shot effect, do it. And you maybe pay someone to edit it, because that is where the thing works out really well. Record the audio off the desk. Angela said, how long should the video be? Mine's 90 seconds, because they'll watch the first 10, 20 seconds and sort of get a vibe off that. Having said that, some people want to watch the whole thing nowadays. So I don't know, but for me, less is more. But I'm not a huge video watcher. When I watch videos, I watch them at 1.5 double speed, because I want to get through it and get to the goodness. Other people just love it, and they'll take forever watching it. So, but make sure your good stuff is up front, so that if they are only going to watch for 20 seconds, they've seen your good stuff. They haven't seen someone else introducing you or some testimonials. There's different schools of thought as to whether you have testimonials or not. I had 2 or 3 and then made them faster and then just barreled them off the screen. So it was like, whoa, there's so many good testimonials, I've got to have a chat to him. Russell.
Quick one on video. If you're doing what everyone else is doing, you're already too late to the race.
Yep.
So I think it's a really important point to just become good at video these days. No matter who you are, if you're a public speaker, a professional speaker, you need to actually be good in front of the camera as well. I truly believe that. So look at what the highly paid speakers are doing. Look at what the creative speakers are doing. People like Jason Fox. There's a storytelling element to a lot of the videos that he puts out. And then once you've seen what they're all doing, think what else, what more, what different can I do, as long as there is an element of you speaking in that, if that's what you're selling.
Yep.
So don't just be like everyone else. Otherwise, you're going to be like 12 months behind. You've got to bring your own flavour to it, which is going to excite people.
Vin Yang does some really good stuff as well, and he's based in the States, but he has his own video production company. So so he should. There's a guy who has a really good YouTube channel. Check it out, Rusty Pearson, I think he is. Some fantastic blacksmithing. Check it out; it's awesome.
Actually, on that point, what I'm saying is get good at video. So I've actually got 3 different channels. I've got a professional one, but I've also got one that I do as a hobby, so that I can actually learn how to engage a whole new audience. So I think video is one of those things that as a speaker you need to learn to love.
Yeah, and use the equipment you've already got. Don't spend a truckload of money on equipment, because I know so many speakers who go, oh, well, I've got to get this microphone and this camera and I've got this and I've bought the lights and I've done da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Start with what you got, because we're very good at buying the stuff and it's a good delay mechanism. So if all you've got is just your laptop, great, turn on the light above. If you've got a lamp you can shove in your face, do that and just record with what you got, and then over time you can get microphones. Angela's got a beautiful green screen sitting there behind her, which is sensational. I know for me is I just got a bit of green cloth and a roller blind that's, hang on, I'll see if you can see it, up there on the roof. And so I just roll that down and I've got green screen. If you want to do green screen, what I'm finding is having a natural background works just as well. So but good lighting is good, but lighting is cheap nowadays. So, whatever else. And Angela's put the comment, I invested a lot of money on the studio and it was a waste. So, it's just that. Paul's asking, what's the best time of day to call? I wouldn't call on a Friday afternoon because people are starting to chill out. Typically Monday morning, they're sort of slowly edging into it. But sometimes what it means is you can beat the gatekeepers and get the boss. The boss is in early, so you can do an early call. It's just, Russell, tell us, what's your wisdom?
So I run a call center as well. Tuesday mornings from 10 till 2, or that time. Thursday from 10 till 2 tend to be the best in Australia. But that's a blanket statement. You need to know your audience and you need to know when they're going to be available to actually take that call. So Friday afternoons tend to be out, Monday mornings tends to be out. But that, again, that's blanket information. So know your audience.
Yep. Angela, we said before, how long should the video be? It's going to depend. My personal one's 90 seconds. I've got other ones that are a couple of minutes. And this is for the promo video. This is for my show reel. For just little videos, I don't do probably 5 minutes tops, but most of mine end up being 2 or 3 minutes, sometimes 4. But it depends on the depth of your topic. But I've seen a lot of videos where the individual presenting has taken a long time to say a little bit of info. So cut to the chase, get into it, say what you're saying and get off, because people's value their time. So yeah. All right. Anything else? No other questions. Elizabeth, I have to say, love your doors. They're great doors in the background. Can I run through the list of what you convert your video into? Trish, what do you mean by that? Hang on, I'll unmute you.
Yeah. You that's when you mentioned Rev, you said turn it into an audio, an article, and such a quick list. I was trying to write it down. And
cool.
Luckily, you put on your blog, because my blog died ages ago and I've got to revive it.
Bring it back to life, baby. Bring it back to life.
Yeah.
Yes, I do. I do put it there. So what I'll do is I'll shoot the video, and I can then turn that in. I can take the audio off it if I want to and put it on my podcast. I can take which text. I typically don't on the little videos, but if I'm doing a bigger video, I will. And I can then get it typed up or use the Rev to type it up, and then I'll tweak it to turn it into an article. So basically you're doing the video and then turning it into those three elements.
So, and the articles, you use that other service to ship them off everywhere, or do you sometimes do it manually?
Or just put them on your blog. Put them on your blog, and you could have here's the written article and here's the video directly underneath.
Oh yeah.
Or you put them on LinkedIn, or you put them on Facebook, or you put them if you've got a relationship with someone who likes you. Some of my clients, as a value add as a speaker, I offer them articles for their magazine. Like, oh, that's fantastic, because nearly every in-house magazine struggles to come up with content. And so, I basically let them use me to sell me, if that makes sense.
If you've got a couple of different areas that you speak in, it's a bit tricky to do a blog. Would you do them in 2 columns and side by side, or?
So what are the 2 areas that you're blogging in?
There's the inspirational resilience stuff, but then there's also the financial savvy stuff.
So why can't you do both?
Well, no, I can do both, but I'm just thinking, does it look odd having them?
No. Have them as both, and have them as both, and have them as different categories. And that way, if people want to search on a category, they can.
Categories, that's right.
Yeah, because it's otherwise,
it's been a while.
You twist yourself in half, trying to do different. But part of that is have a focus. If you're confused what you're writing about, how is your audience going to be? So if you want to be known for something, be known for something. And Russell's going to share his wisdom.
There's my only point with the blog is that I have sort of this running thing with a number of other content marketers I talk to, where I truly believe content marketing is dead without distribution. So putting a blog up, I tend to find can be near to useless unless you're actually getting it into the hands of the people who you want to read it. Yep. So having it there is great, but you've got to get it distributed. So put the piece up, but then send it to the specific people that want to see it. I was thinking of you when I wrote this article. I thought it was worth mentioning. put them in the article and say, I was thinking of you when I wrote this article and I mentioned you in the article, and you'll get even more traction.
Yep.
If you go to put it on LinkedIn, and Joe probably would know the answer to this one, can you just copy and paste it, or do you post a link, or do you need to retweak it, reword it a bit so that it doesn't look like you've ripped it off?
Copy and paste it. Don't have a link, because if you have a link, LinkedIn won't like it. LinkedIn
okay. Because I had a Google blog once and it disappeared because I copied and pasted something that I wrote, something from my website into the Google blog, and it thought that I had plagiarized somebody else's material, and the whole thing disappeared, and I went,
my understanding, and Joe will know better than I, is that LinkedIn is its own little separate sort of entity, and so therefore you can cut and paste into LinkedIn.
Yeah, good.
Cool.
Okay. Thanks.
Joe, did you want to say something?
Yeah, sure. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, so with LinkedIn do not like, I totally agree, they don't like you to go outside of LinkedIn. But when it comes to articles, I tell people to link from the article to your blog, because that's different. And if you publish an article on LinkedIn don't give that any visibility anymore. So you've got to, as Russell said, you've got to distribute it. So you've got to promote it. So article once a month, like Warwick said, and then have a marketing plan, but use it to direct traffic to your website. And embed the video, embed all the stuff, the images and that sort of stuff. That makes sense. And I always say, change it slightly, have an intro to the article. Say you've got top 10 tips to blah, blah, blah. Have 5 in the LinkedIn article, link to the article on your website. So you're giving people a reason to go to your website, because that's where you want to drive them to.
Yeah. So just when you talk about embed, you're not saying upload a video directly to your website. You'd upload it to your YouTube channel and then use the embed link and put it on your website.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
No worries. Angela, my show reel, if you go to warwickmerry.com, very front page. So it'll be there for your enjoyment and delight. And I'm not saying it's the best in the world. I created it 12 months ago, and it's like everything. Like your promo reel, as soon as you've done it, it's out of date. Your website, as soon as you hit publish, it's out of date. Like, that's just how it works nowadays. All right. Hey, that's an hour. Unless you've got any other pressing questions or any other stuff that you want to know. Your next step is to get cracking. I'd love to know, what do you want to know for the final 6 getting to professional members? So if you have any thoughts or ideas of stuff you want to cover, let me know. I am going to try and look at humour in terms of putting humour into it, but we've covered a lot of the marketing stuff previously. We've covered sales. We've covered one sheets and one pages and bios and stuff. So if there's anything you want to know, please let me know, and we'll look at what we do it. So there you go. All right. Yeah. Cool. Alrighty. Unless you have any further questions, that's it. Thanks very much, everybody. Don't forget that this month is Bowel Cancer Awareness Month. So if you're over 50, put your poo in the post. It's an important thing to do. Alrighty. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your evening.